Fish on Fridays, I'm Al McCauley. Today I want to talk to you about a saint that the Catholic Church remembers every March 3rd. And this is a special saint because she is the second U.S.-born saint. Now, you may know that the first U.S.-born saint is Elizabeth Ann Seton. And today we're going to talk about the second U.S.-born saint, St. Katherine Drexel. She's going to be born in the middle of the 1800s and die in 1955. She lived almost 100 years. A lot of health issues toward the end of her life, but what a remarkable woman. She is born into great wealth. She's a socialite in the Philadelphia elite. And so she's got a lot of money. But despite that, she's very much drawn to her Catholic faith. And at early age, she's going to take a vow of poverty. Eventually, she's going to go on to found a society or a religious order of sisters called the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament. And it's about this time when she travels to Rome and has an audience with the Pope Leo XIII. And in the audience, in the conversation, the brief conversation, she said, we've got a lot of Native American children. We've got a lot of African American children in the United States who are born into poverty. A lot of them are orphans. You really need to do something about that. You need to send missionaries there. And he, the story goes, very pointedly said back to her, why don't you be that missionary? And so she took that to heart and she went back to the United States and she began her life's legacy, if you will, her life's mission, which was to help poor children especially, but poor children of Native Americans and African Americans. There were a lot, like I said, a lot of orphans being uneducated. And so she took them in, she started schools and homes to give them proper food and clothing and education. How is she going to do this? Well, as I said, she's very wealthy. When her parents die, she is going to inherit a fortune, about $20 million by our standards today. And she is going to use that money to help fund her mission, if you will, what Pope Leo XIII said, you be that missionary. So she's going to be funded, self-funded, if you will, for these efforts. But the problem is she's living in a time in the United States when groups like the KKK are unfortunately on the rise. And they are not just anti-Black, they're anti-Catholic. And so here's a woman, Katherine Drexel, who is a Catholic woman helping Black children and Native Americans. You can imagine that they didn't take too kindly to her. And there's one story in particular that takes place in Beaumont, Texas, where there was a KKK group, and this is 1922, that threatened her. They sent her a letter, in fact, saying that they were going to tar and feather the pastor of your church and they were going to bomb the church. And literally a day or two after that, the weather turned. Terrible storms came through the area and a tornado touched down and wiped out the KKK headquarters, and they were never threatened again. So, is that God's providence? Who knows? But it's interesting. It's that they were kept safe. So no harm came to them. But again, Katherine is going to devote her whole life to educating the poor, to helping them have a chance. She is going to found and start the very first Black college in the United States called Xavier University in New Orleans, Louisiana. Throughout her life, she's going to start 50 different missions across 16 states. Amazing when you think about the legacy that she has left behind. She's a very, very powerful woman in that regard in terms of seeing her mission and seeing it through to its end, to the point where we still see the effects of it today. She is still recognized as a great champion for the educating of minorities, the educating of people who are on the margins of society. It's because of that March 3rd, that's her feast day, that we remember her as a patron saint of racial justice, as well as the patron saint of philanthropists. So if you are somebody who is sitting on a wad of cash and you don't know what to do with it, perhaps in her name and her legacy, Katherine Drexel, you want to maybe donate that to help some people who are disenfranchised or who are disadvantaged. So again, Katherine Drexel, a great saint to know. Like all the saints we talk about on Fish on Fridays, we're just touching the surface here. Hope you're inspired to learn more about these wonderful men and women and try to follow their example. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll continue to do that every Friday. We'd love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook. But until next time, please be good to each other and God bless.